Mark Price off the pick and roll, one of the greatest shooters I've ever seen in our game.
Mark Price shot over 90% from the free throw line for his entire career, nearly 40% from three in an era when no one shot threes, and he did it all at just 6 feet tall. Yet, nobody ever talks about him. No MVPs, no Hall of Fame induction, and barely even mentioned in today's conversations. This is a story of Mark Price. Early life and career. Mark Price was born on February 15, 1964, into a basketball family. His father, Denny Price, was a former Oklahoma State star who once dropped a record 42 points in the state finals, and later joined the first coaching staff of the Phoenix Suns. The house revolved around hoops. When Mark was 4, he asked for a mini hoop in his room. His dad put it up, but only if he could make a shot before leaving. His mom later said, he was in there, shooting and crying and shooting. And finally, the crying stopped. He was hooked. Mark followed in his dad's footsteps, starring at Enid High School. He was named Oklahoma Player of the Year as a senior and, in 1982, tied his father's 42-point game. But despite his scoring and skill, the major programs passed him over, so he took his talents to Georgia Tech. In 1983, he was named ACC Rookie of the Year and led the entire conference in points per game as a freshman, outscoring future Hall of Famers like Ralph Sampson and Michael Jordan. Over 4 years, he averaged 17.4 points and 4.4 assists, shot nearly 40% from threes, and was all ACC every season. As a junior, he led Georgia Tech to its first ever conference title and an Elite Eight run. Price declared for the 1986 NBA draft and was selected 25th overall by Dallas, but was traded to the Cavs right away. Alongside Price, the Cavs landed Brad Daugherty with the number 1 overall pick, Ron Harper at number 8, as well as Hot Rod Williams, who was finally eligible to play after a legal holdover from the previous year. It was a full-blown franchise reset. As a rookie, Price didn't exactly turn heads. He played in 67 games, all off the bench, and averaged under 7 points a night while shooting barely 40% from the field. He was banged up for most of the year, and the Cavs struggled too, finishing 31-51. But there were flashes, enough for Cleveland to believe they had something. Mark Price's peak NBA seasons. The next season, however, things started to click. The Cavs, oddly enough, drafted another point guard, Kevin Johnson, 7th overall. But by midseason, it was clear Price was their guy. He'd earned the job, and the front office knew it. They sent Johnson to Phoenix in a trade that brought back Larry Nance, and just like that, the core was set. Price nearly doubled his scoring output, improved his shooting across the board, and built up chemistry with Daugherty and Nance, who became his go-to pick-and-roll partners. He shot 50% from the field, nearly 49% from three, and 88% from the line. Unbelievable efficiency for a second-year guard. By his third season, Price was one of the best point guards in the East. He averaged 18.9 points and 8.4 assists, joined the 50-40-90 club, and was named an All-Star for the first time. This was during the golden age for point guards. Isaiah Thomas, John Stockton, Magic Johnson, and Price held his own with all of them. He was named to the All-NBA third team and helped lead the Cavs to 57 wins, second best in the East. This version of the Cavs, Price, Daugherty, Nance, Elo, Hot Rod, was really balanced and dangerous on the court, and Price was the engine. He kept defenses honest by pulling up in transition, slipping through traps, and knocking down just about every free throw he took. From 88 to 94, Price averaged 18.2 points and 8.2 assists per game, while shooting 48% from the field, 41% from three, and over 90% from the line. He made 4 All-Star teams in that stretch and won the three-point contest twice in a row, in 93 and 94. Here's him knocking down 20 out of the first 22 three-pointers in his second win. Why is Mark Price forgotten? Just by looking at his numbers, accolades, and highlights, one can easily see that Mark Price was one of the best point guards in the 90s. Keep in mind, Mark was just one of 7 guards during Jordan's prime who was selected first-team All-NBA. So, why is he forgotten today? Firstly, injuries piled up quickly. He tore his ACL at the start of the 91 season, then broke his wrist a few years later. By the mid-90s, his body was already breaking down. Secondly, he played for the Cavs, pre-LeBron. Cleveland was a small market, rarely on national TV, and even at their peak, they kept running into Michael Jordan. The Cavs lost to the Bulls in the playoffs in '89, '92, '93, and '94. Every time they looked ready to break through, they got bounced. And even when the Cavs were good, really good, they kept running into the same brick wall. That brick wall was named Michael Jordan. They lost to the Bulls in the '89 playoffs. You remember the shot. Then they lost again in '92, again in '93, and even when Jordan stepped away in '94, the Cavs still got bounced. And then there was the branding. The NBA was pushing stars like Jordan, Shaq, and Penny. Price didn't fit the mold. He wasn't flashy. He didn't talk much. He just hit shots, ran the offense, and went home. After '95, Cleveland hit reset. Price was traded to Washington, then bounced around with Golden State and Orlando before quietly retiring. Legacy and influence. For those who watched him, Mark Price isn't forgotten. He's remembered as one of the smartest, toughest, and most skilled point guards of his time. He was a 6-foot guard who couldn't jump and wasn't fast, but still made 4 All-Star teams, 3 All-NBA teams, and shot 90% from the line for his career. He pioneered the split on the pick and roll, something Steve Kerr has credited him with inventing. Price was only the second player to hit 50% from the field, 40% from 3, and 90% from the line in a season. Only elite scorers have pulled that off. Miller, Curry, Durant, Dirk, Kyrie, Nash, and recently Malcolm Brogdon. And speaking of Nash, the comparison isn't random. Similar height, similar style, similar shooting split. In fact, Nash has said he modeled part of his game after Price. Price's impact didn't end on the court. After retiring, he became a shooting coach and helped guys like Rondo improve their form. He also coached in college and served on several NBA staffs. Quietly, he's been passing down the fundamentals he mastered. Conclusion. So, did the NBA forget about Mark Price? Maybe. Or maybe it just never realized what it had. He was a modest 6-foot guard who ran the pick and roll like a surgeon and shot better than almost anyone in league history. Price was pulling up from deep before it was trendy, splitting traps before it was taught, and making All-NBA teams during Jordan's prime. In another era, maybe he's a household name, but if you go back and watch now, really watch, you'll see it. You'll see how damn good Mark Price was.